we started this study is that we made a proposal to the Media Lab administration quite a while ago, where the Media Lab has climate sustainability goals, and we know that consuming meat has a much higher environmental impact than other plant-based foods. And a lot of money is spent on food at an organization such as the Media Lab. And so our proposal was to align spending with the climate sustainability goals at the Media Lab and to limit spending on meat and buy plant-based foods as well. So we made this proposal and we realized that it was quite controversial. And so we wanted to understand why. And that's really what led us to this research, to understand why there was so much pushback on eating plant-based, given that it could have such a big impact and could be a very simple change to make. We worked with event organizers who were already going to provide food at their events and needed to send out registration forms or RSVP forms. And what we did was, within the RSVP forms, we asked people what they wanted to eat. We gave them two options, where one was vegan, and we labeled the option as vegan in one version of the form each time the form went out. And I should say that the descriptions for these menu items were pulled directly from the caterer, and they had titles and they had descriptions with the ingredients, which is typical of items on a menu at US restaurants and other places that you might get food. Each time these RSVP forms went out, there were two versions. And when people clicked to RSVP, these notifications for the events went out in emails. They were randomly redirected to one of two versions of the form. And the forms were identical, except that in one version of the form, the vegan meal option was labeled as vegan, and in the other version, it was not labeled. And so what we were doing was we were testing whether that vegan label would negatively impact people's likelihood to choose the vegan option. And each time we found that was the case with statistical significance. We can hypothesize why these labels have a negative impact. There might be biases attached to them. People might think that vegan or vegetarian foods are less filling. We're not sure. But what we do think, based on the research from others, is that by putting these labels on menu items, they might not seem like the default. It might seem like meat options are the default. And so this might suggest that removing these labels would put these more sustainable vegan and vegetarian or plant-based, whatever you want to call them, meal options on an equal playing field as the other options that are less sustainable and contain meat.